Welcome one and all to Lorefinder, where we delve deep into the world of Akalon to uncover its many secrets. Tonight we speak on the lore of New Dredgemire, the town in which our current party of adventurers in the New Dredgemire game reside and run as council members. Historically, New Dredgemire is more often called Dredgemire Keep, as it was once a sprawling city-state with the castle interior acting as the capital for the self-governed land. It was originally constructed 1500 years before the War of the Lich, founded by the exiled halfling prince Osgin Dredgemire III. While the exact reasons for Osgin's exile are unclear, as most historical writing from before the War of Parts has been lost to time, it is clear that Dredgemire Keep flourished in the 500 years leading up to the War of Parts. From what has been gathered from mixed records, Dredgemire was run by a governor who appeared to hold the title for life before passing the title on in death, save for the rare ousting. Under halfling control, Dredgemire Keep flourished, farms spreading along the Redback River that ran through the territory from the Redback Mountains above. This reliance on farming helped to create a trade route through Holzmarket, a key city in the dwarven nation of Eichelwald. This alliance with Eichelwald would prove fruitful, as Dredgemire Keep provided a buffer between the goblinoids that resided in the Redtail Valley and the dwarves in the Redback Mountains. Despite its neutrality to many of the events that passed along the 500 years surrounding the halfling occupation, it was not spared during the War of Parts 1,000 years prior to the War of the Lich. The tiefling nation of Bloodhaven pillaged the now city-state of Dredgemire Keep, laying siege to it as the few lucky halflings who escaped the initial onslaught sought residency in the governor's castle. After weeks with no support from the halfling nation of Pelton, who perhaps still held a grudge against the creation of the exiled Prince Osgin, nor from Eichelwald, who themselves were too busy with their own war against the orcs from the Savage Lands, Dredgemire Keep fell into the hands of the tieflings, beginning the Second Age of Dredgemire. Under tiefling occupation, Dredgemire Keep changed from a flourishing agricultural center to a military outpost for the armies of Bloodhaven. Whereas the halflings that previously called it home had little conflicts with the goblinoids of the surrounding area, the tieflings pressed into the goblin alcoves and military drills, killing and taking slaves with no regards. Bloodhaven formed Dredgemire Keep into a garrison, as it had strong positioning both away from the front lines of the war with Pelton, as well as providing a barrier from the dwarves to the south so they could not aid the Peltonese against the Bloodhaven hordes. After the War of Parts ended, Bloodhaven's control on Dredgemire Keep loosened. Fewer and fewer regiments were sent there for training. As the next 500 years passed, the keep fell into disarray. Finally, after the last troop left the gates of the castle, it was left to be reclaimed by nature of the area itself, as well as the once-enslaved goblinoids they called the valley home. Little changed as the next 500 years passed in the Redtail Valley. The goblinoid population exploded, as little stood in the way of their occupation now that the halfling and tiefling presence were gone. Dredgemire Keep was used on a couple of occasions as a dwarven mining outpost, though these would be short-lived as it required too much manpower for the dwarves to be rid of the flourishing goblinoids. It was at this time that the War of the Lich broke out, covering most of the continent of Akalon in ruin as the Grand Lich sought to control all. While Dredgemire Keep was mostly unaffected, it would gain prominence as it was the closest settlement to the last stand of the Grand Lich. Upon his death, the surrounding forest grew devoid of life, undead grasping all, as the previously unnamed section of land became referred to as the Lich's last will. All would avoid this area 100 miles north of Dredgemire Keep, though enterprising adventurers would try and fail to use the keep as a foothold to further explore the dark forest that plagued the heart of Akalon. When these ventures shared a uniformity of unfruitfulness, the thought to explore the wilds was once again abandoned. Little else happened in Redtail Valley, aside from the occasional culling of goblins by the dwarves to the south, afraid they would expand from the valley and wreak havoc on the major agricultural center of Holzmarket. That is until now, 1,000 years after the War of the Lich, when a party of adventurers would unite the goblins of Redtail Valley to overthrow the orc chieftain Grindelmore, giving Dredgemire Keep the new name of New Dredgemire as a sign of new beginnings. If you would like to hear more about the newly sprouting history of New Dredgemire, check out the campaign where we try and post new sessions twice a month. Also, be sure to come back to Lorefinder, where we will be exploring the world of Akalon and giving history to those things the party ventures across during the campaign. If you would like to see more of the series, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when new videos pop up. This has been Brad from Tabletop Gaming, wishing you all wonderful adventures ahead.